The van life, the nomad, the traveling and all that, it's our form of saying to the world we don't belong to anything. We get to live the life the way we want to, quitting our jobs, selling our house to do everything. Built the van for a little bit over 7 months. And, ending up in Alaska and all that journey kind of like put together in one word is just an adventure. So.
Welcome to the Take 1.5 podcast. This is your host, Min Lee.
My name is Patrick. I am part of the van life crew. My wife Jessica couldn't be here today. She's working. But I'd be more than happy to talk to the audience of yours of how the traveling and how it is and how it can be for some of you guys too.
Awesome. It's so exciting. Okay, so start from the beginning. How did you even think about this? How did you get started? What goes on?
Yeah, so that's a great question because we sometimes asked ourselves in the first few months of doing this nomad van life things like, what are we doing here? Like, why are we living in the van? And I blame the wife because she's usually the one that makes things happen, and I'm the one that cleaning up after her. Like I want to travel, build a van. I'm like, okay. So I build a van, I want to go here. Then, okay. Then, research and everything. And then when we got married in 2019, every chance we've got, I mean, kind of like all the other couple, we were looking for places to go. But we weren't really going to Hawaii or Cancun or doing Hokkangsu and things like that. We're always doing something that other people were not doing, and we were finding joy in that. First idea was, why don't we just get a caravan and just travel? And then a thought came to our head, maybe an Instagram post or something like that about van making couples. We saw the van, we saw a couple videos on YouTube, and I'm like, we can do that. We immediately started looking for a van and just started figuring things out after that. If we sell the house that I had, we can use that equity to travel. Yeah, with the equity, we just built the van, maybe under $50,000. And then our first goal was, let's go to Maine and get a lobster roll. So
Your plan?
yeah, good plan. Our closing for the house sale was somewhere in August and wasn't finished. We ended up staying at friend's house for a little bit over a month, finishing the van. And we went to Maine and got a lobster roll. On the last day of the lobster boat charter, we got on the boat, caught some lobster, went to a local restaurant, and had a lobster roll.
Was it good?
Oh yeah, it was fantastic. And then our next goal was to drive down to Florida Keys. The first few months was a very rough patch because trying to live in a tiny space with 3 dogs and a wife. I don't usually Tony that much. She does. She has a place for everything I don't. So we constantly say to each other, if we survive the van life, we can survive anything type of the mindset. So
Yeah.
traveling, we knew that is what we wanted to do. We didn't think twice, we just did it.
Wow.
And that's often the advice we give to a lot of people. We actually get that question a lot. How do you guys do it? We're like, just do it. You're gonna work to retire and to travel anyway. Why don't you do it while you can? I think COVID kind of put that spin on a lot of people too,
Yeah.
that life can end at any time. And
Sure.
if you can take advantage of your house's equity that went up a lot, why don't you do it? Just take it out and travel. And we have all these experiences now that other people don't have, which we kind of take pride in some ways and get the confidence boost whenever we need it. And then we now have a better job than
I see.
we could think of, umuran geguri, right? So
What do you think most people is afraid of to try something like this? What stops them?
it's really a territory of the unknown for a lot of people, I think, right? We too have this set plans or I don't know, maybe other people have different routes, but these routes, you get married, you have kids, and you just progress in your job, and it's gonna be better. But I don't know. For me, I was fortunate enough to meet a wife that dreams,
Right.
she's really the visionary behind all of this, and I just sweep up after whatever her dreams are. So
You
yeah,
have the same vision. That's yeah, that's a blessing on its own, right?
I think she had a harder time as a Yok생 than I did. Um, Whenever she was able to work here in like late May, decided to come here for like a week and then spend a week here with her friend. And whenever I was being in her social media or whatever, I'm in her hand in one of her Instagram pictures, I'm like, oh my gosh, this woman is it.
Yeah.
Later, me finding out borrowing someone else's. I think she always had a love for Alaska, but to answer your question about, what does Patrick want? I want this, I'm gonna do it, and here's how I'm gonna do it. Think really that we, as a UX saying, always had a goal that we had to accomplish, or because us coming, right, always had a some kind of a point to prove to like many other people.
Yeah.
Like, because we were sent here to study and become a better person, whenever we got married, and then we kind of started living the lives that we wanted. And at the time, I was done with my service period too. Like, so I was a free man, and I was like working a remote job that was from New York or something like that. But we were at the point that we could make the decision to say, let's quit. Let's buy a van, build it, debt free for a couple years, and see what it feels like. Let's let go and then just kind of start fresh. Let's open a book and just put page 1 and just start over.
That's amazing. That's so brave of you.
We weren't really worried about what our parents were thinking because I think the best thing that is like, we were already separated from our parents. Like, we were independent by the age of 16, right?
Right.
And you're just kind of like forced to do that. And like when you're here by yourself and you are making your life choices without the direct parent supervision, they were super happy about it. And they're your biggest fan anyway. So, although the parents in Texas, my American parents, they did not like it because
really?
they were worried.
Really?
They're always watching news about people getting abducted in Mexico.
That's weird because I would think that your Korean parents would be object.
Well, and the thing is, Korean parents are always in Korea.
Oh,
American
okay.
parents, we always lived in Texas, so we always had family dinner. And my grandmother really didn't like it because she knew that once Patrick leaves, he's not coming back. So I think that was part of our goal too, is not just to travel, but finding a place that we want to like settle down.
I see.
That's why we now are here. But at the time, she's like, we're like 3,200 miles from Alaska. Why don't we just go to Alaska? We made the drive up here, and then craziest thing about Alaska, a lot of people don't know that we have summer here. People think it's just igloos and dog sleds. Alaska has a beautiful summer. Alaska has a beautiful people. It was a place that we were looking for, literally, because every year, every month, you hear a story from a person. These crazy stories that you normally wouldn't hear of, and the stories that we're wanting to tell in our YouTube channel. There's these places and people and events that we would never imagined, but you get to visit a new place, whether that's a crazy scenery where you get to walk like side by side with a giant brown bear, or maybe it's a stream that a black bear, brown bear, and an eagle all share for all these salmon streams that you get to fish out of right next to all three of them.
Yeah, amazing.
Or a whale hunting town that celebrates spring and fall whale festival. A place called Kaktovik where polar bear just walks around the neighborhood. I think it's kind of what gets us excited. Remember to breathe.
So you guys are more outdoorsy travelers. So you're at a perfect place. You're in Anchorage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after visiting everywhere, we there's a Alaska-Canada highway that you can drive up to Alaska. And we just drove that in the month of July and fell in love with fishing and fell in love with the scenery, nature, people, and you just kind of get like Alaska-fied. I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of people travel here and then just decide to stay here.
Really? You like the extreme weather? Because when I think of Alaska, I think of extreme weather.
So it's not that bad.
Really?
Or Buffalo, New York. That's an
Right.
extreme winter. Anchorage doesn't really get that much snow.
No?
No,
Really?
especially this year. For just thinking about the whole month of February, the lowest we've ever got in the month of February was probably the high 20s
Okay.
and like 37, 38. Yeah, we get the negative 20, 30 degree for cold snap, maybe 3, 4 times per month or something like that. And summer is beautiful. It gets up to the 70s and 80s, sometimes in the high 80s, but summer from maybe June all the way to like late September is when the travel season starts here in Alaska, and that's when you kind of get the semi traffic or all kinds of camper vans and you spend one summer here, you'll realize why. So Alaska's big, right? You know, we all know Texas is big. There's a common joke here in Alaska that says if you cut Alaska in half, it's still bigger than Texas. And 80% of the state is not connected by the road. So you either have to have your own like plane license to fly to somewhere with your float plane where it lands on water and you can visit places, or a boat, or in the wintertime a snowmobile, right? If a traveler like you maybe come in the summer, you can maybe rent a car. It's probably the easiest way to get to places. And there's a place called the Kenai Peninsula. So Anchorage is, let's say, here, and down here in the peninsula there's all these coastal towns that you can visit. You can usually go like sightseeing on a boat or something like that. There's so many marine mammals and lives like whale, an orca, a lot of otters and birds, I guess, if you're into that. And you can just go sightseeing. There's bears everywhere. And there's salmon that you can catch. You can actually view salmon going up the streams, like
Yeah.
up in the falls, and there's usually bears right next to that you get to see and take pictures
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah, I saw that video. It was amazing. So this summer, my husband and I and a couple friend of ours were planning on visiting Alaska for the first
Okay.
time. What are some of tips that you could give us?
So what I would do is I would start booking like today. I would start
Okay.
like planning today because things sell out like on January or February of all the things. I think if you're just coming here for how many days?
I think 7 to 10 days.
Oh, that's a good range.
Yeah. Okay.
Just the drive alone is amazing, but I would have maybe 3 key towns in mind. So the first town that I really want to go over is probably Homer. It's the southernmost point of the Kenai Peninsula. It takes about 5-hour drive here from Anchorage, but it's a really cute, quaint town in the coastal town. On the drive there, you get to visit a lot of the places.
Okay.
And it's a good like starting point, and then coming back, you can go to maybe a second town that I'm going to mention, a Seward. Seward is a place where you can take a giant like a cruise ship out for 6 to 8 hours on like a Kenai Fjord National Park. You be on a big boat that doesn't swing very much, but you go out to the Resurrection Bay, which is the actual ocean out, and you get to view glacier. You get to view mammals out. Maybe you get to see whales sometimes, or orcas. Like a Mustang if you're just coming here for like sightseeing. If anyone in the group like to fish, or anyone like to try to fish, both Homer and Seward has great charter boat options. It's a 7 to 10 days, so it may be a little tight. But if you guys have the ability to go to a town called Valdez, it's another great coastal town again. That place has like a salmon hatchery where they kind of like raise salmon to kind of like bring out to the ocean. And near the hatchery, there is a place where you can view 500-600 pound sea lions. So a lot of wildlife here in Alaska. Anywhere you go here, you can go fishing. So
What is one hiking place you would recommend?
on the way to Seward, there's a really famous river called a Russian River. And on the Russian River, there is a like a trail that you can go visit the Russian River Falls.
Okay.
And there usually you can see, if you're coming in July, it'll be the perfect time. You'll get to see the sockeye salmon, the red salmon, kind of going up the falls. You usually get to see the bears, and there's a lot of people around, so you don't have to be like scared or anything. I think the common misconception too is like the bears are dangerous, aren't they? Why do you want to go see the bears? And they're like, well, they don't care because they have more salmon than they can eat.
That sounds exciting. We're really excited about our trip. We'll start booking today.
And the great thing about summer is the sun don't set.
So, what kind of work do you do, Patrick, over there in Anchorage, and your wife too?
So Jessica's a CPA. So she works for a native corporation here in Alaska. And me, I worked in real estate for a decade now, I think. Whether that's a setting in the bank or like a title company as an escrow officer. But right now, I'm a homebuyer educator for Alaska Housing Finance Corporation.
So, do you see yourself in Alaska, in Anchorage, for a while?
I think there's way too many places that we even wasn't even able to set foot in or didn't even get to plan, and for different seasons too, like because there's only places that you can go during the winter time, or there's only places that you can go during the summertime, and it's not cheap. I'll tell you that it's not cheap, so it takes a lot of preparations. So remember to bring the raincoat. That's number one thing that I would recommend to bring is a raincoat.
Okay.
A good changwa and a good raincoat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good tip. Are you taking you're working for a while and then taking a break and then travel, or how do you see your future plans?
For March, I think we are working a lot with like the van rental companies here in Anchorage. We're working with a lot of those local companies to see if we can rent their van and kind of promote their van and say, hey, there's these vans that are available that you can rent out, because instead of spending, $300-$400 hotel every night, why don't you just have a home on wheel that you can travel for a week?
So you do promotions and while you're traveling.
Our channel audiences like to see that too, so it'll be a perfect collaboration too.
Where do you think you go?
So another good tip about Alaska is March is a great time to visit Fairbanks for Northern Lights. If Northern Lights is in your bucket list, Iceland is good too, but I think Fairbanks is relatively cheap and close, and you don't have to spend fortunes to go to Iceland. And but Fairbanks, March, usually the weathers are okay now. And you just walk out of your hotel room and you can see the Northern Lights.
Wow.
So if it's in anybody's bucket list, I would highly recommend visiting Fairbanks area.
So that's where you're going, Fairbanks, in March with the van?
Yes, we're gonna try to go. Maybe try the onsen there. Hopefully somewhere that you can find that solitude, because that's one thing we like about here is everything's so quiet once you drive 30 minutes away from everybody, and then you just. The fact that you can kind of like listen to whether it's the snow falling or just the sound of the wind going through like these trees and stuff, it just gives you peace.
It sounds like you and Jessica are both outdoorsy, adventurous type of things. You're aligned.
And we really built that from traveling to these remote places in our van, like whether that's in like the Utah desert or somewhere like in Death Valley or something. everything has just been go, 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 or get to like this objectives and getting a promotion or working like, for Jessica, it was like working at like a big four accounting firm, right? Surviving, getting the H-1B or living day to day, paying rent or something like that.
Do you think you'll ever quit your job again and travel for a couple of years like you did before?
If we ever do it again, we're going to have a good, solid plans that we can do it long term. I don't think we're going to leave Alaska at all. Like, if we ever leave Alaska, we're going to do something called a snowbirding. Like, meaning, like, during the wintertime, we're going to go to, like, Houston, or in the summertime, we're going to be here in Alaska.
You were mentioning about the solitude. You are able to hear the rainfall and maybe the wind and the nature. What is that like?
But as far as the solitude goes, I think it's the concept that from Monday to Friday, it's just the way it is for a lot of people, majority of the people, that you have to work, or whether that's just a mortgage or whether that's your parents or something like that. But the fact that you can drive a couple minutes out and just be yourself in that place at that time with your loved one, I think that's the solitude that we enjoy.
How does it make you feel when you're in that place?
I don't know. It's just you don't really feel anything. You're just there. You're kind of like it's kind of cliche, but you're like really one with the nature. And then the fact that you get to harvest your own food too when you're fishing, or you get to forage, like whether that's like a giant kosari or gobi or mushrooms, or because there's so many mushrooms here too that you can kind of like harvest. It's just a subsistent type of living too that just kind of gives you that peaceful mindset too.
Do you guys do a tour guide and things like that?
And that's a thing, I think we do a great job of doing a tour guide, getting itineraries done and stuff. And that's something that I want to go ahead and maybe put it into some kind of like a business model. Maybe start small, offer travel advice to the people that want to visit Alaska. Just by spending maybe 3-4 hours with them, maybe consulting what they want, what their budget is, what their time is, what their health abilities are. I'm confident that we can craft some kind of an itinerary for them at a fraction of the cost. So
that'll be great. Let's talk a little bit about your YouTube channel.
Sometimes I feel like some of my core audience knows me, knows us better than some of our family members.
Maybe. And you and your wife have really good chemistry dynamics. You could totally tell through those videos.
And the craziest thing is Jessica doesn't like YouTube.
Oh, she doesn't?
She doesn't want to do it, but she's just so natural. Like once I point that camera at her, she just goes.
Yeah, she's very natural.
I know.
I love that she's so active.
Yeah, we were filming this past weekend at a place that didn't have water, didn't have a toilet. It was just a dry cabin out in the wilderness, whatever, for 3 days. Mm-hmm. And on the way back, she's like, "You're never gonna find a woman like me. You're never gonna find a woman like me that doesn't want to stay in hotels and want to go to places." So
she's right about that.
Yeah, and I agree with you.
Yeah, you won't find me there.
Yeah.
It seems like you have such a professional quality videos and pictures.
I always liked making like short videos. Like if I was going on like a trip with a friend or something, I always liked making like highlights. I guess it's a little bit of like a artsy fartsy side in me, but it's always been fun holding a camera. Or something I learned with YouTube for the last 3-4 years is that it's really hard to craft a story that people want to listen to. Time to like see your videos, but really,
I know.
Yeah, but to me, I can confidently say that there's at least 100 to 200 people looking forward to our videos. Maybe use our video to kind of like get away from their regular lives. There's that secret demand that I like spending time making videos, and I like spreading things that people didn't know about Alaska.
Yeah, I really enjoy watching your videos. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's not only informative, but it's really beautiful. Beautifully
Yeah.
done, Patrick. Good job.
Thank you.
So, what do you guys do for fun other than traveling?
Things that we do for fun. We like hiking. We try to get into hiking a lot because she now has plans this summer to go on like these multi-day backpacking. Again, no running water and no toilet. That's her. It's her choice. And I'm just there to make sure that we don't die. But she wants to be active. But I think thing too is like she wants to settle down too and have a family too. So she has a lot in plan. So we don't know. Do we trade fishing for baby? Do we trade hiking for babies? Or do we hike with the baby? Because we've seen some families out there fishing with their baby in front of them with a giant hook. I'm like, I wouldn't do that because that's kind of dangerous. But,
Maybe not fishing, but hiking, probably. You could.
yeah, maybe hiking, but yeah. It's going to be an interesting next few years for sure.
Yeah, looking
Every
forward to
every
it.
day, every well, I'm glad I was able to talk for an hour before this podcast becomes famous. And just wanted to maybe let your audience that watches know that if you need if you need help with planning Alaska, just reach out to me, and then I'd love to help you out, give you 100% discount for being a 1.5 podcast listeners. Limited
100%
time only.
discount.
Limited time only.
Great discount right there.
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to your next adventure so I can watch it on your YouTube channel.
Alrighty.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Take
Meg.
care.